Fowler, beginning with Jimmy Garoppolo, Jeremy.
Ryan, let's do it. So here's what I'm hearing on the timeline for Garoppolo coming back from shoulder surgery. He's supposed to meet with his doctor really any day now, late this week. And the expectation is that he will be cleared to throw. If he's cleared, he will start throwing most likely in the next 1 to 2 weeks. After that, his trade market should heat up. You got teams like Seattle, Carolina still looking at some options at the quarterback position. Garoppolo could be one that's ready to go before training camp. Then we segue over to Baker Mayfield. His market's still lukewarm because teams are sort of waiting him out on that $18.8 million in guaranteed money. Here's the deal with Seattle. I know they've done their homework on Mayfield. There is some sort of cursory interest. They've watched film to see how he would fit into their offensive scheme. A lot of that interest is predicated on him potentially being released, though. They don't really want to trade any assets for him. It would have to be a heck of a deal for Seattle to entertain that. A lot of people I talked to league-wide still expect the Carolina Panthers to be involved with Mayfield sometime before training camp.
And then there's Kenny Pickett, right?
Kenny Pickett, yes, a rookie deal, 4 years, $14 million, all guaranteed. He signed, he was the last rookie, first-round pick to sign, $7 million signing bonus. Now, here's the real benefit with Pickett, just a $2 million cap hit on the Steelers' books. So he is a major bargain right now at the quarterback position. Really all three guys, Mitchell Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, Pickett, only costing the Steelers about $10 million in cap space this year. That's like 5% of their salary cap. So they can load up on all these other positions and sign veterans to big money contracts, knowing that they have a major cost benefit at the most important position.
Okay, future could be bright for Pittsburgh. Thank you so much, Jeremy.
It's time for Ryan Clark to explain his tweet.
Get in the gym, bro. Well, I just got buffalo chicken dip. Baker.
Bruh. Lord. As everyone laughs at the way I read your tweet. I can't even do it with a straight face.
RC is back, and it's time, my friend, to explain your tweets. The first one, I think, refers to Tyreek Hill mentioning in his podcast that Tua's more accurate than Patrick Mahomes. I love this one. Bruh, at Cheetah Noe lying out here on his podcast. I feel him, though. Everyone's talking about the podcast, and I'm sure Tua feels good about it. But it doesn't mean any of that stuff he said about Casey or Pat. RC, explain.
Listen, I understand, first of all, if he's getting death threats for this, people, stop being stupid. They don't need to be death threats because he said something about your quarterback. But, I feel what Tyreek is doing. I didn't know he had a podcast. I didn't know he was starting a podcast. He says that Tua is more accurate than Patrick Mahomes, and I can't stop seeing his podcast. It's actually genius. And I know Tua's sitting at home like, yeah, I already told y'all I'm more accurate than Patrick Mahomes. Tyreek Hill said it. You ain't got to do that, though. You can say great things about Tua and then also tell the truth about Pat. When I left Washington and we left Sean Taylor and went to Troy Polamalu, I didn't have to say that Troy was better at stuff than Sean. I could say that they were both stinking great. But I get it, Tyreek. You do that on your first podcast. We've been talking about it since it came out. And now everybody knows about the pod. But he know good and dang well he is lying. You can't tell me nothing you done seen in OTAs that's better than that stuff Patrick Mahomes done in the real games. I refuse to believe it.
It's so true. Dude gets an A+ in marketing. I'll give him that. All right, so explain this one.
Absolutely.
I like this one. Oh, dip. To see Jabari Smith Jr. get his name called. Went to school with his dad at LSU. I know he's proud. Ran into both of them at the airport, headed for the draft, and you could just see how close they are. Explain.
Well, first off, I'm tired of autocorrect. It was supposed to be dope, but they messed it up. It's okay. I didn't want to go back and fix it. Now, I went to school with Jabari Smith Sr. We used to call him Big Nasty. And when I saw Jabari Smith Jr. talking to Kevin Nagande one day, and he was like, yeah, I played against my dad, or I do this, I do that. I was like, ain't no way that's Jabari's little boy. I'm walking through the airport in Atlanta this week. I see them both in the airport, get an opportunity to talk to them. So excited for those guys. That's when you know you're getting old, right? When dudes you played with or dudes you went to school with have kids being picked in the top 3 of the NBA draft. And now we're starting to see the young lineage of all of these men I am around the same age as get their just due, get their opportunity to achieve their dreams. And it was so cool to be sitting in the house and get an opportunity to see it.
Yeah, so pumped for Jabari Smith Jr. going number 3 to the Houston Rockets. All right, so one more. Man, if you don't believe you're top 3, then who will? It's okay to say it when you aren't if you do what you got to do to get there. In truth, you'll know you're top 3 when you don't even have to say it. So explain this one and who you're talking about.
First off, I'm talking about Chase Claypool, and I like Chase Claypool. I think he is uber talented, and he said he was top 3. Now, when you think about it, maybe he is a top 3 talent. Maybe he's a guy who can get there, but he ain't top 3. He ain't top 13 right now. But if you don't believe you're a 10, who gonna believe it? Ryan Smith, when you get your hair cut and when you put your suit on and when you look in the mirror, if you're not looking at yourself saying, I'm the best, I'm the cutest, I'm the most handsome, then who's gonna believe it? Mirror, mirror on the wall. And that's what Chase Claypool is doing. Now, what he's also done is put a target on his back, because this ain't the first stupid thing that he said. And so this is not the first thing that people don't really agree with. He has to go out and play. No dancing late in games when you're in the 2-minute drill. No saying that you hope Cleveland loses or KC's going to take care of him the next week. Now it's time for him to go out and play. It's going to be Mitchell Trubisky or it's going to be Kenny Pickett. It's time for him to carry that team, get 80 to 100 catches, get double-digit touchdowns. And then at that point, he won't have to tell us he's top 3 because the accolades and the money will let everybody know.
There you go. And you know what? I'm glad you put it that way in my context, because that's exactly what I do, RC. And I tell it to my wife every single morning. And you know what? She's like, you're not. You're not top 3. You're not top 13. You're not top 30. But it's okay. It's okay. I'll take it like that. All right, let's move on. Mike Tomlin was on the Pivot Podcast. You know the Pivot Podcast with my man RC, Fred Taylor, Channing Crowder this week. Yep. And he commented on his quarterback situation. Take a listen.
I'm excited about being uncomfortable. Yeah, we might not have the type of quarterback play that we've have had. We might not have the special talent that we've had. But we got capable dudes, and we got a team.
I love it. RC, that was Mike Tomlin on your podcast. What was your biggest takeaway from that interview?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that Mike Tomlin is authentically him. He's a leader of men that truly means the things that he says. When he started talking about his quarterback situation, he did sound excited. He sounded excited to start that new chapter and not that you're not attached to Ben no more, but you're moving into something else that you have to coach your way through. And he said something during the podcast. He said, I don't run away from coaching. Well, he's going to have to coach this team, right? This team is now going to be built in a different way. The money is allocated to different places. We got T.J. Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick, the highest paid at certain positions. You have Najee Harris, who's going to move into more of a leadership role, and you have a quarterback who's going to be more mobile and be able to push the ball down the field more than you could last year. What did this team look like when you play the Joe Burrows, when you play the Lamar Jacksons, when you have a quarterback who's no longer Ben Roethlisberger? And listening to Mike T talk about what this team can be in 2022 actually got me more excited than I was just looking at the roster on paper. We're going to see if he's truly the Hall of Fame coach we all believe he is.
Okay, so you're more excited about him. So then what are your expectations for the team without Big Ben?
See, why you got to do that, Ryan? I just got to say all those good things and sound really smart like I knew stuff, and now I got to be confused. You know what, Ryan? Like, I truly don't know. You know, there's a side of me that says, I think they can be better. There's a side of me that says Najee Harris will be in his second year. You've made some improvements to the offensive line. How many times did we hear Coach Tomlin talk about a lack of mobility from the quarterback position? You have that in both guys in that quarterback room right now with Trubisky and Pickett. I think that this team could be better offensively. Now, I talked to old defense coordinator Keith Butler, and the first thing he said about this team this year was they're going to have to stop the run. If they understand how to stop the run defensively, I believe they're a better offensive team, and they can be a better football team than they were last year, even without their leader, Big Ben Roethlisberger.
And look, you look at the Steelers, and you never count them out. That's the thing about the Steelers. So, Rob, I look at this team. I don't count them out, but I wonder from your perspective, this AFC North is challenging, and that's being kind. How do you see the Steelers competing in this division?
Well, they're not going to roll over. I can tell you that just based on the head coach. And listen, sometimes when you can fly under the radar and manage those expectations, in years past, every single year, they're expected to be at the top of the division. Well, now everyone's going to say, oh, they're at the bottom. But that doesn't have to be the case. You have a young quarterback room. You have a competition at the quarterback position. They have a great defense. Now, can they put something together? If they go with the veteran quarterback, if they go with Trubisky, what is he going to look like with another chance, with another place in the NFL to try and show off his skills to where he can get paid? And then you have a rookie quarterback. We don't know what he's going to look like. We don't know how he's going to develop or what he's going to develop into. But I do know this. They have a great head coach that's going to motivate this group of men to say, listen, everyone's counting us out, but we don't have to be counted out. We can rise above everybody else, and we can make a special season here if everyone does their part. We come together as a great unit, and we all play in all three phases. So I think that they could be a very tough team, and I think they can compete. It all depends on how they come together as a team this camp.
Yeah, I don't know if you folks saw those Caesars Sportsbooks odds we just put up. Let's put that back up again because Caesars has them all the way on the bottom of the division, and I bet Tomlin uses that and says, guys, look, it's right there. Guys, look at how people are looking at us right now. They're looking at us like we're not only on the bottom, but we're on the bottom by a mile. Jeremy, I look at this and I wonder how that all plays into this, but also how this plays into the quarterback battle. What should fans expect there?
Yeah. Well, Ryan, Mitchell Trubisky does have the inside track. When the Steelers signed him, they liked his pedigree. He's been to a Pro Bowl. He's won more games than he's lost as a starter. He's got athleticism, mobility. All those things add up to some first-team reps that he got in OTAs and minicamp. So he will likely have to be unseated. I've been told that the Steelers don't really plan to play any favorites. That Kenny Pickett can come in, have a great camp, and maybe unseat him. But as you heard Mike Tomlin say on the Pivot podcast, he doesn't seek comfort. Mitchell Trubisky might give him the most comfort at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I would not count these Steelers out. I personally do not see them finishing on the bottom of the division, but we will see how it plays out because that division is tough. All right, guys, thank you so much.